Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Thanks for joining us. This day's RHI, we have special guest Kristina Hornaday-Alberts, and this series of RHI's stories of courage, hope, attitude, and inspiration is brought to you by the awesome Wilson Kehoe Winningham. They sponsor us for many years and continue to do so. My name is Mindy Fox. I'm the Executive Director of the RHI Foundation. And if you feel so inspired, please click on the link, then you can make a gift. Every dollar helps. We're a nonprofit hospital, so we can't do the best possible rehabilitation in the state of Indiana without you. We need philanthropic support. We need your gifts, and that allows us to change lives, like Kristina's. So thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I don't know your story. I know you through our sports program. So why don't you share with us how you came to know RHI? Let's start at the beginning.
So in 2012, I had a motor vehicle accident. I hydroplaned and flipped my car 10 times. Smashed both of my legs. I had a traumatic brain injury from that. I still have some issues with my throat because of that. But so I was in the hospital for quite some time, had many surgeries. My health started failing after that, so I had to have many surgeries on my legs. I had sporadic emergency gallbladder surgery to have my gallbladder removed. They believe that my autonomic nervous system was affected when I had the car accident. In 2014, I went legally blind. I had a branch retinal vein occlusion in my right eye, which is kind of like an eye stroke. And then just things tumbled from there. In 2016, I had a series of 4 strokes. And in those 4 strokes, 2 of them were in June, 1 of them was in July, and the last one was in December. So I spent 3 months in the hospital, 2 months in a rehabilitation facility, and then a group home. And then I went from the group home to the Mayo Clinic and spent 3 months at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. Came back and then started with RHI with outpatient therapy. So that's kind of my journey from 2012 to 2017. And then as soon as I got started with RHI, I started at the neuro rehab on Valparaiso Court. And I worked with Tony there with physical therapy. They did the neuro psych evaluations on me, started working with all the brain injury stuff, been working very closely with Wendy Waldman with the resource facilitation program, and we've just gone from there. So it's been a 2-year journey with RHI since 2017 to now, with all my outpatient stuff. I was not an inpatient here, but I've done all of my outpatient stuff here.
So your initial injury from the auto accident was in 2012.
Yes.
And here we are now 7 years later, and you are still dealing with a lot of issues related to that 7 years ago, which I think a lot of people don't realize, you know. So many of the patients that we see at RHI, they have whatever illness or injury occurs that brings them here or somewhere else, but they often are dealing with health issues related to that for many years to come. And what's so special about RHI is that we don't just treat patients during that inpatient stay immediately following the injury or illness that initially starts the journey, but we are with patients for the rest of their life most of the time. So tell me about all the ways that you have been involved in that chronic way, like ongoing. It's not going to stop. You're always involved in something we're doing. How have you been involved in all of that through the whole continuum of care?
So Dr. Hum is my physiatrist, and he has been helping me with my back issues because it messed up my spine. So I have chronic back issues from the discs in my neck and my lumbar spine and my cervical spine. So he does cortisone injections. We're talking about doing a spinal ablation, a nerve ablation on the nerves in the back. Dr. Hornby has really helped me with his research studies. with the walking. So I just got into another walking study with Dr. Hornby. If it wasn't for Dr. Hornby, I would not be walking the way I'm walking today. He really got a hold of me when I started physical therapy back in 2017, and put a yank in my crank and pushed me. Needless to say, his whole team between Abby and Chris and all of them back there in the locomotive lab, they've really got me walking. I was in a wheelchair for 9 months. I was completely paralyzed on my right side. So I really have to attribute a lot to Dr. Hornby and his team. And then I have participated with the sports program, and I've done many of the different sports. I even tried wheelchair lacrosse, which that was not for me. But I've done archery. I've done the sit volleyball, bocce ball, pickleball, hand cycling, which I really enjoy. I just got fitted for a wheelchair through Turnstone, and so the RHI sports program is paying for my wheelchair because the sports chairs are very expensive, and I obviously cannot pay for it on my Social Security that I get every month. So I'm thankful that the RHI sports program is paying for the rental of the chair for me. And then also I participate in support groups at RHI. So there's 3 of them, one at the Neuro Rehab Center on Valparaiso Court, which is called Bridging the Gap. I do the stroke support group, and then I do the traumatic brain injury support group. And each one offers different things, especially the resources. That's how I found out about the sports program in the first place, was through the support groups. I've also participated in the Return to Driving program with Mary Ellen, and I'm not returned to driving yet. We're still fussing because I've had so many issues with my eye, but I'm getting ready to go back to do some more driving lessons with Mary Ellen, so hopefully I will have my license back soon. I've done the brain injury coping skills with all of the neuropsych people. I don't even remember all their names. It's such a huge team. And I also participate in the community fitness with the team that comes in on Tuesdays and Thursdays and does the community fitness. So RHI has deeply impacted my rehab and where I'm at today. I mean, I have made leaps and bounds and changes just from participating in all the programs. But I try to utilize every program that's out there. Mm-hmm. I mean, if it's available and it doesn't really cost me anything, and I will do it. So today I'm dressed in my yoga attire because I will be doing the last session of Love Your Brain Yoga. So I do the yoga, I do the community fitness, I do the sports program, anything that will get me back to life. I was a tax accountant before all of this happened, and a business owner. You never know what will happen to you in your life. I was a busy professional career woman before all this happened, and then all of a sudden I was turned upside down on my head. Literally turned upside down on my head. So, you may think that you're okay, but you're really not. So as a business owner, I didn't have things in place for myself when this happened, when a disaster happened. And when the disaster happens, it's too late. It's too late to try to implement those things. So if it wasn't for RHI, I would not be where I'm at today. Mm-hmm. So,
I keep hearing you say that. It's so interesting to me. You're saying the RHI sports program paid for you to get this wheelchair and to do all of these clinics and participate in all of those recreational and competitive sports, and that we've paid for you to do your Love Your Brain yoga and all these things that you're doing. But what people who are listening to this may not realize is that it's not the RHI sports program and it's not RHI that's paying for this, it's our donors. We are a nonprofit hospital, and what that means for people who don't know is that we do a lot of charity care. We have a lot of patients that we serve and take care of their rehabilitation and medical and therapy needs, and they can't pay for it. The last figure I have is from 2016. We did like $900,000 in charity care. So we have a very small operating margin. What that means is we don't have a lot of money to reinvest back into our system when we need new things like a new roof or a new air conditioning system, or we need to replace the flooring, or because we're in a building that's $50,000 van to be able to offer that program. RHI as an institution could never come up with the funds on its operational budget to do that. We do that, all of that amazing stuff, through our gifts that we get from our donors, people just like you. And we can't do it without you. We cannot do all of these amazing things for our patients and their families for years and years to come without gifts from individuals and grants and corporate sponsors like Wilson Kehoe Winningham, and the thousands of donors that we have. So for those people, they're the ones who have made that possible. What would you like to say to them?
I would like to thank them for making it possible, because again, without RHI and without all the donors that have made it possible, my life would be drastically different right now. It is really, when you go through a traumatic event and you lose everything, which I did, because when you're on life support and you're not, barely functioning, barely alive, I was declared dead on the table. Don't look very dead right now, but I was declared dead in 2016. But you come back from that, you go through a lot of emotional things, and, being a business owner, being an accountant, I never thought, I was the one that prepared people for those moments. I sat down with them. I made sure that my clients had wills and, an estate, and they had a trust, and they had all these things in place. But, that's great if you die, but when you're still alive, there was no plan. So did I have a will? Did I have power of attorneys? Did I have all those things? I did, but I had nothing in place to what happens if you make it out alive. Mm-hmm. And so, to this day, I still, like, even thinking about going back into business, I'm really wanting to help the disabled community in that aspect, and trying to modify my business to have more of that aim in that. So I can't thank the donors that give the money to RHI enough, because the depression that I went through after the strokes, when you have to learn how to walk, you have to learn how to talk again, you have to learn how to eat again, you have to learn how to do all these simple things that you did before as an educated individual. It just is unheard of. Like, you're just like, I don't know if I can do this again. Mm-hmm. And when it happened the first time, it was like, oh, okay, I could do this. The second time, okay, we'll just do it again. The third time, you kind of throw in the towel. You're like, really? I got to learn to walk again? But you got to find that moment, and the different programs that RHI has offered me has really kept me going and made me thrive instead of just survive. And that's what I really look at, is if we can take all these survivors and make them thrivers and put them back into the community and return them to as much of a normal life as possible, then thank you for providing me that opportunity. Mm-hmm. So.
And thank you. Thank you for coming here this morning and sharing your story. It's an amazing journey that you've been on, with so many challenges along the way, but what an inspiration, your story is. And I hope for everybody watching Kristina share her journey, just little pieces of your journey, I hope that this fuels you with inspiration and encourages you, that we give you courage to face the challenges ahead, and give you hope that things can be okay, and they will be okay, and RHI will be there for you throughout your journey. And thank you. So if you'd like to join us, we need you. We can't do it without our donors. Please click on the link, make a gift, help Kristina. She's not done with her journey, and we have thousands of patients and families that are still struggling also. We need your help. So thank you, and we'll see you next week.